Hey everyone, today's lesson is going to be how to make this cute little drawstring purse. But there's a surprise about this drawstring purse. It turns into this cute little cradle. How cute is this for little girls? Complete with my little teddy bear in there. It's got his blanket. I'll show you how to make the blanket as well. And all we've done is just fold down the top part of the bag. Let's see if we can do this one-handed. Sorry, bear. Getting a bit squished in there. So there we go. We've got our bag. Drawstring handles. Pull it tight. And that's all we did. We just flipped this down to reveal the cradle inside. And this pattern is very adjustable. You can make it to any size purse that you like. I'll show you how to do that at the beginning. It's all to do with the amount of chains that we start with. And of course you guys can use any colour that you like also. So stay tuned and let's learn how to make this adorable cradle purse. We are going to need some yarn, colours of your choice. I'm making this obviously for a girl. So it's going to be pink. It's just some scraps that I've got left. You can use all the same colour if you like, or you can use as many colours as you like. I'm using 8 ply, which is also the same as double knit for the UK people. And I'm going to be using a 4mm hook, which is what is recommended for the yarn. You can use any yarn you like and any hook that is recommended for the yarn that you use. This pattern is going to be adjustable. And how do we do that? It's all with the amount of chains that we do at the beginning. You want to make your chain as wide as you want your baby cradle. So if you want the cradle to sit up like that and you want it to be about 15 centimeters long, you're going to make it a chain of about 15 centimeters long. You're not going to get the exact measurement that you like, but you'll get it within a couple of centimeters or half an inch. So I want to make mine just a small one, so I'm going to make my chain about 15 centimeters. Again, you can customize this pattern and use what stitch you like. You can use a single crochet, you could use a half double crochet, or you could use a double crochet, or a shell pattern, anything you like. So if you were going to use a single crochet, you were going to go into the second chain from the hook. And remember, we don't count the one that's on our hook. That's the first and that's the second. If it was a single crochet, you'd go into there and complete your stitch. If you want to do a half double crochet, you would go into the second chain as well. If you want to use double crochet, which is what I'm going to use, I'm going to go into the third chain from the hook. So it's not counting the one on the hook, so it's 1, 2 and 3, wrapping your yarn, going into here. So you just choose what stitch you want to use. I'm going to use the double crochet because it works up a lot quicker. It is a looser stitch though, so if you want your stitches nice and tight and nice and thick fabric, or more of a tightly sort of woven fabric, you can use the single crochet or the half double. They all give different effects. And see, this one's going to have a little bit of holes in between, but that's okay. I'm not that worried about that. So what we're going to do is we're going to double crochet or whatever stitch you've chosen into each chain across until we get to the end of our chain. I'm up to the last chain stitch. There we go. And what we want to do, we want to work 3 stitches into that last chain. So whatever stitch you've chosen to do, we're going to work 3 into that same chain space. Into the same gap there. And now what we're going to do, instead of turning and going back down the row, we're going to work alongside the other side of the chain. And what we're going to do, when I do this, I like to work in between the stitches, so into here and into here. You can work into the chain, but I find that it leaves holes like that, and I don't like that look. So what you're going to do, if you can work in the chain, that's up to you, but if you want to work into the stitch, you're going to go into the gap between, so count back 3, so 1, 2 and 3, the gap between the 3rd and the 4th stitch. So 1, 2, 3, you're going to work into here. So we're working, whatever stitch you're working, going into that space. I'm going to work over my tail. I've just got it laid on the top there, so you're capturing it as you go. And now you work, so you've just worked into here, and you're going to work into that next gap. And what I find is this makes it a little bit thicker on the bottom, but also it stops you having those big gaping holes. And if you're using a single crochet stitch, you will notice this a lot more. So we're just working into those gaps in between our stitches, not into our chain spaces, but you can work into your chain space, it's entirely up to you. And you want to work your way to the end. When we get to the last chain space, the last gap, don't count this gap that's here, this one here, so going into there with your stitch. And now we're up to this last stitch here, and I want you to put 2 more into that. So if you just did this stitch into your chain instead of into the space, altogether into that same chain space, so into this chain here, you just need 3 stitches, because you did 1 when you started, and I've got 1 there. If you've got 3 in there, that's enough. So now I have 3 into that last space. I'm really going to count that chain there. So what we want to do is we want to slip stitch and join here. So just into the top of the chain, which is here, in with a hook, and just join it with a slip stitch. Now to complete the rows from now on, you want to work a chain. So if you were doing a single crochet, it was 1 chain. If you were doing a half double, it is 2. If you're doing a double crochet, it's 3 chains. So pick the stitch that you've done, do the correct amount of chains. So I've done a double, so it's 3. And then we are going to go into the next stitch, going under both loops. You can work into the back loop if you want, completely up to you. But just to make it easy, go under both loops. We're going to work 1 stitch. When we get up to the end, so this is where we started, up to this end, on this center stitch here, we are going to work 2 stitches into that same stitch. So it's going to be the second stitch in your group of 3 at the end there. So working 2 of your stitches, whichever one you chose. And then 1 in each stitch, working down the side here. And then going along until we get to the end. I'm coming up to the end of my round. This is where we started our new row, so I've just got 1 more stitch to go in. And we need to imitate what we did down the other end. We did 2 in that last stitch at the end here, didn't we? So that means we need to put 1 more in that very last stitch. So we've got 2 in the stitch that is at the end at the top here, and then we want to slip stitch to the chain 3 into the top of the chain 3 with a slip stitch. Now we're going to chain up that same amount we did before, so mine is 3 because I'm using double crochet, and from now on we want to work 1 stitch in every stitch around, join it with the slip stitch like we just did, and then make your chain and continue on. So this row we just repeat, and I'm not sure how many rows I'm going to be doing, so just stay tuned and then I will let you know how many I've done, and we can have a look to see how it's turning out. Okay, so let's see how big this is. We have got about 7 inches or 18 centimeters wide, and it is about 3.5 or 9 centimeters high, roughly. So that gives you an idea on how big mine's come out. And this is the bottom of the bassinet, so to speak, and also the bottom of your bag. So if you've made yours a different size, when you're looking, the way I figured it out is when I looked into the bottom, I imagined a doll or a teddy or whatever they're going to put in there to be laying in there, and then how high do you think it would come up, going on by the size of the doll. So if it was as long as the doll was as long as that, I'm assuming that the doll would probably come up to about there. So I just added another row or 2, and that's how I come up with my sizing. So now we want to start the frilly part of the bassinet or the crib. And this bit I'm going to change colour. You can use whatever colour you like, or you can keep the same colour. And also this part can be done in a heap of different ways depending on what stitch you want to use. So let's change colours. What we need to do is find your scissors. So I'm going to change colours for my next part. I'm just going to, that's where I finished off, I'm just going to put my new colour on there and make a chain stitch. Pull down on both short pieces. I've actually cut off my first lot of yarn that I was using. Pull down on both short pieces, and that will secure that down into our work. And then I'm going to chain 3. Go into the same chain space where our colour is joined and work 2 more double crochets. Into the next stitch I'm going to work 3 double crochets. In the next stitch I'm going to work 3 double crochets. And you're going to repeat this all the way around. And what is going to happen is it's going to go all roughly like this, and this is what we want. When we get back to the beginning, we want to slip stitch into the top of the chain 3. And now we want to chain 3 and work 1 stitch in every stitch around. So 1 double crochet in every stitch around. When we get to the end, we're going to slip stitch to the chain 3, and we want to repeat this until, so when we lay down our little bag we've got here, we want to make this section as long as what this section was. So I think that's pretty easy. 1 stitch in each stitch, keep going until it's as long as this part of the bag. This is what it looks like so far. As you can see, I just changed colour on the last round.